Доброго вечора, ми з України.
The Crimean bridge was temporarily closed late on June 29th following reports of explosions and active air defense fire in the city of Kerch, according to local telegram channels. Witnesses reported hearing multiple blasts and observing Russian air defense systems in action. Explosions heard in Kerch, Russian air defenses firing, and the lighting on the Crimean bridge has been turned off, the Crimean Wind telegram channel reported. Ukraine has frequently targeted the Crimean bridge over the course of the Russian full-scale invasion. Constructed after Russia's illegal occupation of Crimea in 2014, it is a critical supply and transport route for Russian forces to the occupied Ukrainian territories. Traffic on the bridge was briefly halted, though it remains unclear whether the closure was precautionary or due to damage. Traffic reportedly resumed just over an hour later. Russia's defense ministry said on June 30th that its air defense system shot down 5 Ukrainian drones overnight over the Sea of Azov. It did not report any damage in Kerch or to the Crimean bridge. The incident follows a series of Ukrainian attacks on the Crimean bridge. On June 3rd, Ukraine's security service confirmed it had carried out a third strike targeting the bridge, detonating 1,100 kilograms of explosives beneath its underwater supports. God loves the Trinity, and the SBU always brings what is conceived to the end and never repeats itself, SBU Chief Vasyl Malyuk said in a statement at the time. The operation, he added, had been planned over several months and caused severe damage to the bridge's foundations without harming civilians. Russian media later claimed a Ukrainian intelligence agent involved in preparing the explosive had been detained by the Federal Security Service. The bridge, also known as the Kerch Bridge, previously suffered damage in Ukrainian attacks in October 2022 and July 2023. Despite these strikes, Russia has worked to maintain the bridge's operational status due to its strategic and symbolic importance. The Ukrainian 142nd Mechanized Brigade has been strengthened with German-made Leopard 1 tanks. Brigade representatives noted that age is no barrier. Some of the newly arrived tanks are operated by young, skilled crews. To enhance battlefield survivability, the tanks have been fitted with reactive armor covering the entire frontal profile, including the lower glacis plate. Reactive armor blocks have also been mounted along the sides of the tank and on the turret. Ukraine has already received over 100 Leopard 1 tanks from Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands. It was only in 2023 that the German government approved a decision allowing companies in the German defense industry to transfer Leopard 1 tanks from their reserves. The Leopard 1 tanks currently being supplied to Ukraine were retired from service by European countries back in the 1980s and had been stored for decades at military depots. As a result, the tanks were in poor condition and are undergoing major overhauls before returning to service. Denmark was set to deliver 80 Leopard 1 tanks to the Ukrainian military, specifically the Leopard 1 A5DK variant, following their refurbishment. This equipment was purchased by the private German company FFG after it was officially retired from the Danish Army in 2005. The Danish and German governments allocated €3 million for the repair and modernization of these tanks. In early February, the German defense company Krauss-Maffei-Wegmann started preparing the Leopard 1A5 tanks for delivery to Ukraine. Previously, the Swiss federal government authorized the company RUAG to sell 71 Leopard 1 tanks to Germany, on the condition that they would not be transferred to Ukraine. The Ukrainian group Wild Hornets has produced a significant batch of interceptor drones designed to take down Shahed-type strike drones. The announcement came from volunteer Serhiy Sternenko, who, in partnership with Monobank, launched a fundraising campaign to support the production of these anti-aircraft drones. Thanks to the generosity of donors, the campaign raised an impressive 85 million Ukrainian hryvnias, which will fund the purchase of 395 interceptor drones to combat Shahed drones, along with 1,500 FPV anti-aircraft drones to target enemy reconnaissance UAVs. It is reported that the Ukrainian Defense Forces have already begun receiving the first batches of the ordered drones. In May, a video surfaced showing the use of an interceptor drone, published by the Ukrainian group Wild Hornets. It became the first publicly known footage of an interceptor drone engaging a Shahed UAV. According to the released video, the interceptor drone, equipped with a thermal imaging camera, was able to catch up to the Shahed drone at a high altitude above the clouds. It then struck the drone from below, hitting its underside. At that time, the Sting interceptor drone was used, a model first reported in development back in October 2024. It remains unclear whether the interceptor drones currently being produced are a direct result of that project. However, if they are, then judging by the published photos, they have undergone significant development and have seen substantial changes in design. A Russian military court has sentenced 2 women in absentia for the alleged murder of a missile officer. According to the publication Astra, Russian citizen Elena Popova and Ukrainian citizen Maria Savosta were each sentenced to 18 and 24 years in prison, respectively, for their supposed involvement in the death of Russian missile officer Konstantin Nagaiko. Currently, both women are outside the Russian Federation. According to the investigation, 29-year-old Nagaiko was killed on December 30th, 2024, in the city of Shuya, the Ivanovo region, after opening a package containing a homemade explosive device. Investigators believe the package was allegedly sent by Ukrainian Maria Savosta and handed over to him by Elena Popova. The case was heard by the 2nd Western District Military Court in a closed session, and both women were found guilty of committing a terrorist act. It is worth noting that the officer's death became known on January 4th, 2025. The Russian officer was eliminated at his military unit, suffering multiple shrapnel wounds to almost all of his organs, including his brain. He was on duty at his military unit, and now he's on the verge of death, the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine reported at the time. According to the main intelligence directorate, Nagaiko was the commander of the 112th Missile Brigade and was directly involved in missile strikes on Ukrainian territory. In particular, his unit carried out an attack on a cafe in the village of Hroza in the Kharkiv region on October 5, 2023, during a memorial service, resulting in the deaths of 59 civilians. Captain Konstantin Nagaiko was born on November 6, 1995, in the city of Svobodny, the Amur region, Russia. He graduated from the St. Petersburg State University of Aerospace Instrumentation and the Mikhailovskaya Military Artillery Academy. In connection with the incident at the Royal Air Force Brize Norton Air Base in Oxfordshire, 6 activists from a pro-Palestinian group have been arrested. According to BBC reports, last week the organization Palestine Action released footage showing 2 individuals riding a scooter at night approaching a military transport aircraft, the Airbus Voyager, and spraying paint into its engine. The counter-terrorism unit of the Southeast Regional Police announced the arrest of 2 men, aged 22 and 24, both from London. This brings the total number of people arrested in connection with the case to 6. Following the attack, the British government announced its intention to ban Palestine Action, declaring that involvement in or support for the group's activities is illegal. 4 of those arrested, 2 men, aged 36 and 24, a 29-year-old woman, and another woman aged 41, were detained on suspicion of committing, preparing, or encouraging acts of terrorism under Section 41 of the Terrorism Act 2000. The latter woman is also suspected of assisting offenders. All suspects were detained in the town of Newbury, Berkshire. They remain in custody. A similar incident occurred in Belgium. On June 23rd, around 150 activists from the Stop Arming Israel movement, wearing masks and white overalls, stormed the premises of the private defense company OIP in Tournai. Their protest was part of a campaign to halt arms shipments to Israel, but in reality, military equipment intended for Ukraine was damaged. The company estimates the damage at approximately €1 million and anticipates a delay in arms deliveries of at least 1 month.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week gets 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.